Welcome everyone to the October 20th meeting of the Conway Select Board. Calling the meeting to order. Second. Chris is usually here to remind me when to process. Okay.
You're good.
All right.
Sorry, I might sent you a text. Did you get it?
Okay. So I'm going to pass over our first four agenda items because we have our first item is our joint meeting with the assessors for our tax rate classification hearing. And we have George Forcier here from the assessors. So George, do you want to take it away for us?
Sure. What we're asking the Board of Selectmen to do tonight, of course, is to decide whether or not to have a split tax rate, which the state allows cities and towns to do. Historically, Conway has not done that, as is true of most small towns. And that's because to shift the burden, the tax burden from residential property to industrial commercial property, which is what a split tax rate does. It really only works in big cities. We have a large commercial industrial tax base that help shift the burden too.
Right.
But before I give you our formal recommendation, I just thought I'd run through some of the key numbers as we approach the tax setting time. And if you've got a copy of this,
Yep, right here.
the bottom half of the first page is really where the numbers for the coming year start. And what those numbers say is that this current fiscal year, the tax base, the amount of taxable property in town was $6,837,000 some odd dollars. And under the Proposition 2.5 tax cap law, we are allowed to increase the amount of money we raise in taxation by set amounts. And so these numbers represent how much we can increase that amount of taxes, right? So it's I said tax base a minute ago. I'm sorry. The first line is the tax levy, the amount of money that we raised in property taxes. Second line is how much the law allows us to increase that 2.5%. So that's $170,929. Third number is new growth. So what new things were built in town? Not a lot. And the net result is about $16,000 in taxes. Excluded debt to pay bonds under the Proposition 2.5. Certain debt that the town approves can be exempt from the ceiling, from the cap. So that gets to go into the calculation. And when you add those numbers together, you get $7,107,076. So that's the calculation of how much we're allowed to tax ourselves this year, this coming fiscal year. Levy ceiling is the amount that absolutely the town is able to raise on the 2.5. You only can go there in small steps, but theoretically someday we might get to that point. And levy to be raised is an estimate. I think it's based on, you correct me if I'm wrong, Veronique, but this apparently is the number that we spent from property taxes this year, right?
Right, because there's more than that we get state aid and other forms of income that, yeah, exactly.
But this was the amount in property taxes
from the property
for this year.
Yes.
And so when you subtract that from the 7 million some odd, you have roughly $1 million in theory to play with by way of budget increases or spending increases if the town approved that.
Right.
So that's what those numbers represent, kind of a snapshot of the finances that lead up to setting the tax rate. Now, to get back to the question of whether we should split the tax rate and shift the burden to commercial industrial, I think this next set of numbers kind of illustrates pretty clearly why there's not enough commercial industrial property to shift the burden to. Our tax base is mostly residential. It's 85% residential, 359 million. Commercial property and industrial property is only 14% of the total. Personal property is also in that 14%. So, there's just not enough of the pie dedicated to commercial, industrial, and personal property to shift the residential burden to. And that's why the Board of Assessors voted not to recommend that again this year. This table at the bottom of this page basically shows you what would happen if you did shift the burden. And it's just not a significant savings for residential property at the expense of the others. So let's see what else. Middle tax rate. So looking at the numbers that we have in hand at the moment, and assuming the State Department of Revenue overseers don't see something that we did wrong, or it looks like property tax rate for the coming year would be 1428
Per thousand.
per $1,000 of valuation. Yes, thank you. And so as a result, the board is recommending that the Board of Assessors are recommending the Select Board adopt a single tax rate to be applied to all classes of property in town. And that number is probably going to be the number I just cited. And to accomplish that, we have the handy dandy motion at the end that will formally legally do the job.
And in all the years that I've been on the select board, we have always had, we've not had a split tax rate. We've always voted to maintain a 1-to-1.
Yes, that's the case. And in Franklin County, which is mostly small towns like ours, I think the only towns I've ever considered it seriously were Montague and Greenfield.
Yeah.
Because they have a different mix of industrial and residential property.
Right.
I think Deerfield has a split tax rate too, don't they?
I don't know. They may have considered it.
They should.
Yeah.
They have sizable amount of industrial stuff.
Right.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm ready to make a motion. Thank you, George,
Yes.
for that. Can we put this on the town website? Because this is comprehensive and
I have an electronic version.
yeah, I
Perfect.
think that would be
Sure.
very, people would appreciate seeing. This is great for me. I wish I had this the first year I was on select board. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that it's not, okay.
That we've not had a split.
Right,
tax rate.
yeah, so I'm gonna make a motion that we not have a split tax rate and that as suggested by, recommended by, the Board of Assessors, that we maintain, the same tax rate for commercial, industrial and, residential property in Conway for FY 27.
Should we name the
That's
rate yet?
FY
or no?
26.
FY 26, sorry.
Should we name that rate or no? Okay. That not firm yet.
I think it's
That
not,
number?
yeah,
That's not.
yeah, it's
your
not first,
set.
okay,
Okay.
at the,
I will
yeah.
second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much, George.
I'll send you the electronic copy.
Okay, great. Thank
Does it
you.
matter whether it's a PDF or?
No, I've got Adobe, so either way, but PDFs are better online anyway, so that would be perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, George.
See you guys later.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move on to update on our green community streetlight grant application. We have Ted Harvey joining us via Zoom. Welcome, Ted.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Veronique suggested that I check in with you all, give you a quick update. I think you probably are at least somewhat familiar, if not very familiar, with this. So in a nutshell, it's basically a resubmittal of what was submitted previously in the spring. There's a couple tweaks, obviously, to make it more competitive. Just as a reminder, this is for the LED streetlights, replacing the streetlights. The biggest changes, and kind of when we spoke with our green communities rep and some other folks, these were kind of the ones that would push us over to actually, make this a little more competitive. The biggest one was kind of was reducing the wattage on all of them, actually. So right now we're looking at 38 that will be done, 22 at 17 watts and 16 at 24 watts. And that's a reduction across the board from what was originally submitted. And my understanding is that's more in line with what kind of green communities is, the state's kind of looking at positively, but also just more in line with what other towns are doing. So some even, go more in like the 14 watt, but nonetheless, that's kind of what we're looking at here. So that makes it more competitive. The other piece was, and I think we ended up doing this in the previous one on a kind of edit after the fact, but it's included in this one, is that we're just doing we're having Eversource is decommissioning them, so we're not including those even in this application. So those were kind of the two big things that came up. So they're pretty small things. And other than that, it reduces, actually it reduces the grant by a little bit. So we're looking at a $38,445 dollar application. Then that covers what we're looking for. And let's see, I think those are the biggest changes. It's due Wednesday, so it will be submitted, and then we should know. And it's usually a fairly quick turnaround, but again, worst case scenario, they now do the 2 a year. So I anticipate this one to be all good to go, but again, worst case scenario, it'll be open again in the spring. So
That's right. Okay, so wonderful.
Ted, I don't remember, do we have a better cost savings with this one than the last one? I know that was one of the issues that we raised.
Yeah, the cost savings. So it's actually interesting. So the cost savings, the way it was looking at the cost per kilowatt hour, if we looked at that based on what was used in the last spreadsheet that I was looking at, it's fairly similar. It's a little better. But then going back into kind of the MEI data, kind of the hard data, it looked like that number was a little low anyway. So I can talk to you more about this right before we submit it, but it looks like the cost savings actually will increase by quite a bit. Sometimes those numbers in the MEI, I mean, they'll all be checked again, by green communities. So whatever that number I put in, they'll double check it and make sure it's correct. But in essence, yes, in one way or another, whether it's a small savings or a smaller increase in savings or a larger increase in savings, yes. Definitely on the kilowatt hours, that will be, obviously that will have larger savings. So the only thing I did want to mention, and Veronique knows this, but there is a certificate of application that just needs a signature from the chair. Yeah, but that's and I can just have a PDF of that.
Great.
All right, thank you very much, Ted.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it.
Yep. So we'll get that in Wednesday, and then we'll hear, and obviously you'll know probably before I do. So.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the minutes of October 6th and October 16th. I'm going to make a motion to approve because those look good. Thank you very much, Adam. All right, pass. Meetings attended by select board members.
I had a school committee meeting on the 7th. Lots of discussion about insurance. We voted in the district-wide strategic plan, which if you guys get a chance to look at, it was really good, very comprehensive.
Is that like a 3-5 year, have like what?
It's fine. No. Yeah, but it was very well done. And the rest was just regular business. So that was my meeting.
Let's see, we had the New Hampshire Group Insurance Trust, that was last week or the week before. That was at night. Yeah, Veronique and I were both at that, and we're both going to be at the FERCog meeting on Thursday, which is, I think, a large portion of that is also devoted to health insurance. Because, we can't talk about anything else right now. So that's Thursday. Public comments. Don't see anyone here for public comments. No unfinished business. So moving on to vote to open the warrant for special town meeting, which is going to be December 6th at 10 a.m. at the grammar school. Main item on that agenda is going to be the ambulance
And health insurance.
And health insurance.
And Mike just told me today that he's closed out the free cash He didn't have the exact amount, but he said we have quite a bit, which is a good thing because there's gonna be quite a bit going out, especially town meeting.
Okay, all right. And when does that actually get certified?
I don't know.
But
I don't know. It's usually pretty quick once he puts it in, so.
I think that's one of the things that I can see in the.
Yes, the gateway.
The gateway,
Yeah.
yeah, because I was looking at the,
Mhm.
okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to open the warrant for a special town meeting on December 6th.
Now, well, second,
All in favor?
I,
And then remind me what we have to, I mean, then we basically just, we start building the warrant. right?
Excuse me, yes, I'm working on that now.
Okay.
And, unfortunately, it's a really quick turnaround. I haven't actually double checked with Adam about how much time we get with the printer. But, the plan is actually,
So because Thanksgiving's there, we probably should.
It's-
Well, the last time I talked to him was just to let him know
yeah,
it was delayed until December. But
right.
he said he probably needed 5 or 6 days, so because of Thanksgiving, we should have it
So should we try to?
as soon as possible,
Yeah.
second week of November.
I was gonna say, before, yeah, definitely
Yeah.
before the Thanksgiving holiday,
Right.
Third week of November.
So our meetings, I want to say, are November
November
3rd and
3rd.
17th. So the 17th would be the very latest.
Yeah.
So for the next meeting, I will have the draft warrant for you.
Okay,
I mean, you can close the warrant, you can always reopen the warrant if you want to,
Right.
but you can close the warrant that day, and if everything's done, and we're good in 2 weeks, perfect, and we can send it off. If not, we
And if
have
not,
one
we-
more date, one more meeting.
right, or if that date doesn't work, could we do like we could call an emergency.
Absolutely,
select board meeting?
absolutely. Yeah,
So as long as we
absolutely.
get, what, 48 hours or however much time we need for
48
posting
hours,
it?
yep.
Okay. All right, so, all right, so we've opened the warrant. Forward to seeing the articles. November 3rd. Okay, discussion and vote to sign the MVP FY 26 action grant contracts with the FERCog and GZA, and this is for,
The lowering of the floodplain on the Manuel property, I do not yet have the
Oh, that's
first
right.
contract,
Okay.
so we'll just be doing the GZA one
Okay.
tonight, and that's in your, packet.
do we have any discussion on that? I think we've kind of discussed this to.
Honestly, yeah, and GZA,
Yeah.
so it's this one, they do
Yeah.
such a good job.
Yeah.
You know, and I gotta tell you, it's an absolute joy to have the FERCog and GZA basically do the grant.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
that certainly couldn't
amazing.
be
Yeah.
doing this, so, yeah.
so I'll make a motion to
Do the GZA, because we don't have the FERCog one yet. you
Correct.
said? Okay.
GZA contract.
I will second that. So the motion was to sign the GZA contract for the MVP grant funds to lower the floodplain on the Manuel property.
Yes.
So I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then we're gonna table the FERCog until next time. Okay, so discussion and vote on the Source Pass invoice. So the contract for IT services turns out which we've known for a while, it's gonna cost more than we had originally budgeted for and more than
Yes.
was agreed upon at town meeting. So the total that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, second to last page, and without the financing is what I'm recommending.
Yeah, so without the financing, the total amount is $40,897.66. So if we vote. If we approve this tonight, then that just means we're agreeing to put it on the warrant basically as an article for the town to vote to spend this additional money from free cash. So that's, I don't know if you've seen that.
With a
quote, but-
good explanation of how we got,
Well,
but
I mean, yeah,
pretty,
I mean, we have a good
we do.
technically we have a good explanation. I don't like the explanation,
Right.
but it explains.
Right.
Explains the cost increase, but
Right.
that doesn't mean that we agree that should have happened.
Well, most of it, I think, is we weren't anticipating having to replace so much of our town equipment so quickly to be able to access the Microsoft Cloud.
So much of the hardware.
That's really what it comes down to, is having to update all our hardware.
Yeah, and then has that happened yet?
They can't until
That's-
this, so basically what you'd be doing is authorizing me to sign this and send it back to them and say,
Right,
yes,
so we
we're,
can get going.
yeah, so we can then put it on the warrant and.
Yes,
So then-
I mean, I'll put a little caveat in the bottom that's subject to town meeting
Yeah.
approval,
right,
but yeah.
all right. We don't really have much choice.
No, I don't think because we need.
I'll make a
Computers moving out.
motion to approve the Source Pass The new
sorry,
and revised
proposal.
contract proposal.
Yeah, it's phase one proposal.
All right, seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Discussion and vote on public parking signs, remind me.
Yes, so this was something that I put off a couple of times, but these were, oops, sorry, the signs to potentially put by the ball field down here by town hall in front, just so people know where to go to park. So, you know, you go into a lot of towns and it says public parking with a blue sign and you know where to go park.
Yeah.
Because people are still parking in the town hall parking lot for everything.
Mhm.
And frankly, a lot of people who have trouble walking and need to come to town hall for business can't because it's being taken up by people who could easily park in the town parking lot.
Mhm.
So, I think Ron is going to be purchasing for us 12 posts, 6 of them for the right to farm signs and 6 for the,
Okay.
and hopefully we can get them in the ground like right now before the frost hits.
Yeah.
And then we can get these signs made, and Sunrays has given me the price for them.
Okay.
So
So it's total of how many signs?
I want to say it's 6.
6. The white, the green, 12.
Actually, no, well, 6 for the
6
right to farm and
Oh,
6 for.
okay, that's right,
But
yeah.
he reminded me that I can't do a double-sided sign because you got a post and you've got a sign on each side, but yet you can't see it if the post is coming up. So, yeah, I wasn't, you know,
I'm just
thank
trying-
goodness he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So what's the, so it's, I just want to do the math. 6.
Oh, did he not give a total? Sorry.
There's not a total.
Oh.
Last one. So it's like right around $300.
Yeah, it
Um,
shouldn't.
That's,
shouldn't be too
yeah,
bad.
I think that's a great idea. Who put these? Me. Okay.
I mean, you know, I just got one off the
Yeah,
web. This one I
right.
made up because this is the language the town council approved years ago. And Lori had tried putting them up there, but
Yeah,
people aren't paying attention. So one sign, rather than get signs for in front of every single lot, you know, we just had 2 with arrows. So it would start on the far side here and go to one just before the end. And then the last one at the end would be handicapped. And
okay,
there's enough room there for somebody who has a van, they could, you know, he'll have it blocked off. And
Yeah.
that proper marking probably wouldn't get done until next year, but at least we'd have the signs up. Which would be helpful.
okay, I think that's, sounds reasonable. I make a motion that we approve, the expenditure, of roughly $300 on parking signs.
No,
for the center
second.
town. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. What did I just do?
Oh. Don't know why I have your agenda.
Okay, items not anticipated 48 hours in advance of the meeting. Discussion and vote to sign the regional agreement with Ashfield for a clinician co-responder, which was just brought to our attention that the existing contract expired September 30th, I think. So they're currently not under contract, and this is a pretty, I think, a pretty important public safety position, and that's been, the partnership with Ashfield has worked out fine. So I'm going to make a motion that we once again sign the regional agreement with Ashfield for the clinician co-responder. I don't think we can backdate it, but it's fine. It's been doing what they.
Yeah, you can see everybody on the back there, and so I, put you in there.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Yeah. Okay, town administrator update.
Oh, right. Where did I put my town administrator update? There we go. Honestly, most of this stuff I've gone over with you all already. Just to let everybody in the audience know, Shelburne Falls Road paving.
Yeah, I heard it
Yes.
going on.
Yes. The portion where the pipe is going, you know, the drainage is going off towards South River Meadow, just had a skim coat. It's gonna be redone in the spring.
Okay.
And what Ron's working on is getting all of the catch basins put in the area up in Pine Hill, but then the roads will not be paved this year. They'll just be made ready for plowing.
Okay.
And I believe he's told most of the residents up there that that's what's happening, so. And then most of what I had here was honestly just giving you updates on all the different meetings I've been to recently. Yeah, so, and most of these, I believe you already know about. We did, oh, one thing just to make sure, everybody's aware of those, that we did have a great meeting with, Eversource. And they brought in CET, the Center for Ecotechnology, and they will be doing the comprehensive building assessment for the grammar school.
Oh,
That is
yay.
already scheduled. I spoke with Kristen and Emily.
Yay.
It's actually happening on Veterans Day.
Excellent.
They were fine with it being,
Yeah.
so that will happen, which is very exciting. And then Chris Mason found from Green Communities, found all of our former paperwork for the work that was done when we first became a green community in 2018. And they did work on Town Hall. And they did some insulation and some other work. So now we actually have, I couldn't find it anywhere. It's probably in there, but I couldn't find it. So he sent it to us and we have all that documentation. And then the grammar school is the first priority, but then we'll be working on Town Hall as well. And my hope is that, we'll get the grant for doing the ADA self-evaluation so we can finally get this properly set up, which means that then we can apply for the lift. And then also if we have this building scoping study and we talk about the fact that we want to put offices upstairs, we can include that in when they give us recommendations.
Right.
And a lot of this, of course, is coming from Eversource for free. And so a lot of this is really how do we electrify more, which is getting in line with what the state is promoting. So, yay.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm very excited. So that's the main thing. Oh, and sorry, and I think you may have already seen it, but the report that came out, A Perfect Storm, Cities and Towns Face Historic Fiscal Pressures.
Yes.
That it's a really interesting read that took a couple of years for them to get the data and put together. So, yeah. All right, so that was that.
Select board member comments, concerns?
No.
Got none. Mail, nothing of note. Announcements. It's just a reminder that we will be having a special town meeting on December 6th. But we'll make that known again in advance. All right, so next meeting, November 3rd, 6 o'clock here. With that, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.